You're listening to the Storied Coaching Podcast with Aaron J. Jacobs, episode number 98. This week, I'm giving you one of my most important tools, and that is the tool of story modeling. Forward.
What if you could rewrite your current story? How would you spend your time? What would your career or business look like? What kind of life would you design? Welcome to Storied Coaching, the podcast for high-performing leaders that provides you with tools and insights for building a thriving business that fuels an amazing life on your terms. I'm Aaron J. Jacobs, and as a master coach and the CEO of OMH Creative and Storied Coaching, I've had the privilege and opportunity to learn what it takes to rewrite your story. It's never too late for a rewrite.
Hello, heroes. Welcome to the podcast this week. It's your friend Aaron, and this week we're going to be talking about the fourth tool. I decided to do an entire episode on this because the three tools I shared with you about how to help you immediately, if you're feeling anxiety, if you're in an anxious state, if you have depressive thoughts happening, I shared those with you in episode 97. So check that out. If you missed that one, it'll be super useful to you. I've already had people telling me how useful it was to them, which always feels really good that the things I'm helping you with or presenting to you as options help you. Because man, there's nothing worse than feeling anxious, especially if you were traveling or on a trip or you got stuff going on in your day. So check out episode 97 if that's something that you want to have those three tools in your toolbox. This week, I'm dedicating, it's what I consider the fourth tool. And it's the biggest tool. Like it's the largest hammer in my toolbox personally. And that's why I wanted to separate it from the other tools that we use as far as at Storied Coaching for helping people to overcome obstacles that are holding them back from fulfilling their full potential, from evolving and following their hero story. We use this one all the time. It comes up in all kinds of situations so that you can deconstruct stories that might be not so useful, that are holding you back from obtaining or getting to the place that you want to go, whether that's in your personal life, whether that is in your professional life, whether you are trying to start a business, whether you're trying to start getting back into the gym and exercising, whether you want to take your health into your own control. There's all kinds of things, good and bad, that you can label stories that we have running around in our head. And I talk a lot about stories, almost 100 episodes now, about stories and how powerful they are. And what I do is I help you to apply how stories might be helping you or holding you back. And in this case, this tool helps you to analyze. It's like a program you can run on your brain that will help you to be able to figure out if there's something going on with the story you're telling yourself that may or may not be true that's holding you back from getting the things that you want in life. All right. So pretty important tool to have. This is going to be an episode more than likely that you should earmark and refer back to more than once. All right. So if you don't absorb all of this on the first try, don't worry. It took me a while of using this and writing it out on paper. That's how I suggest it, by the way, is getting a blank piece of paper and writing out what I'm going to show you. Okay. Now, this tool specifically, I call story modeling. And it's very similar to other models, thought modeling, being able to use conscious thought work that you might hear about that other coaches talk about. It's a universal concept. When I took my coach training, they had their own version of it. I have a version that I've adapted for myself because I find it's just more helpful with guys in general as far as the way our brains work. But it is a model that you can use over and over again. All right. So I call it story thought model or story modeling. And that's how I'll refer to it from now on. I want you to go ahead and write down on a piece of paper this acronym, like on each line, each of these, write one of these letters on each line. And then I'm going to help you with deconstructing a few stories as an example. It's SFEAR, S-F-E-A-R. So on the first line of a piece of paper, you'd write S. On the line right below it, you'd write F. On the line below that, write E. On the line below that, A, and then the last one is R. SFEAR, S-F-E-A-R. All right, rewind that if you need to hear it. Now, this structure, like I said, is a universal tool for identifying and analyzing and consciously choosing what stories we want to be playing on repeat in our brains. which ones get airtime, and which ones should be deconstructed and thrown into the fucking trash because they are not helping us move forward in our lives. They are holding us back. They're keeping us in the past. They're helping us treasure our pain and push on all the pain points that make us feel horrible and keep us from realizing what we could be doing with our lives. Because stories are powerful. The stories we tell ourselves, that we tell each other every day, they define who we are. The stories that you believe about yourself, about how you were raised and what you're capable of and things that have happened to you. And if you were in the 5th grade play and you forgot your line, and that means that you're really bad at presenting on stage, like there are serious consequences for continuing to believe stories that may or may not be true, that your brain has decided are fact. And that's not always the case, is what I have found. It's been very surprising to me over when I'm using this with myself of what stories I may have been believing for years that are completely fabricated and only are real to me and not very useful. And when I get rid of them, I'm actually able to move forward and do things that I thought I wasn't capable of or that I wasn't talented at because of the fact that I use this. So SFEAR, SFEAR. Now the first letter stands for story, right? It's a story that you're telling yourself about something. So pick something in your life. Maybe it's, I don't have any time to exercise. Let's use that as an example, okay? I don't have any time for exercise. So I can't lose weight. I can't muscle up. I can't get into any good shape because I don't have time to exercise. That's the story. If you can get the story concise into a sentence, even if there's like multiple sentences that go with it, try to reduce it to what's the main sentence. If there was a headline for your story, what would that story be? I don't have time to exercise. So we're going to deconstruct that a little bit. So that's the story. I don't have time to exercise. I'm going to write that down right here so that I can remember it. I don't have time to exercise. Okay. Now let's go to the F line. I have kids now. I have a job. I'm also trying to start a business. I just don't have time to exercise. And so it's always going to fail. Okay. I'm never going to be able to be consistent. I'm never going to be able to achieve the body that I have now. I'm never going to be able to lose weight and keep it off because of the fact that I have this story that I don't have time to exercise. So that's on the S line. Remember the first one that we did. Now the second letter underneath that, F, what are the facts actually? What are the facts? My story has all kinds of things in it that make me believe that the story is true, that it feels true. Okay. But what are the actual facts of the story? The fact is that I haven't exercised today. That's the only fact that there is. I haven't exercised today. I didn't exercise yesterday. Or it could be, I am not exercising regularly. That is the fact. That is the only fact. Even the word regularly, you want to be very careful of. So I would even make it very specific and say, my story is, I don't have time to exercise. The fact is, I haven't exercised today. That's the only fact that there is. Now, what is the emotion that comes up for you for your story? This is the E. So we've had our story, we've had our fact. Now, going back to the story, so for the E on the next line, what's the emotion? What's the emotion that comes up for you when you think the story of, I don't have time to exercise? For me, it would be defeated. The emotion I would be feeling would be defeated. And I might also throw in there that I feel frustrated, defeated and frustrated. If I was forced to pick one emotion over the other, it would be probably defeated. Doesn't feel that great, right? Most people feeling defeated isn't something they really want to feel. So we've done our story. We've done our fact of I haven't exercised today. The line below that is the E, which is the emotion. I feel defeated. Now, what actions am I taking, or not actions, when I feel defeated? Because we usually, when we feel a feeling, it either motivates us or demotivates us to do something. It either keeps us static, moves us backwards, keeps us in fear, or helps us advance. Now, if my action is that I'm not going to exercise today. I haven't been exercising because I believe my story that I don't have time to exercise. And I have all this list of things that I can point to that says I have kids and I have a job and I'm trying to start a business and all this, and it hasn't worked in the past, that my brain wants to go to reinforce my story. But remember, the fact on the second line is just that I haven't exercised today. Today's not over. So I can change this story. But right now, what the results that I'm getting when I believe my story of I don't have time to exercise in the past, the action that I've been taking is not taking action. I've been staying stagnant. I have not been moving forward because of the fact that I'm not moving forward. I'm not taking action. I'm not trying to change my story. So if the action I'm taking right now is nothing, the action is believing my story. That's the only action I have, is that I'm believing my story like a crutch. Then the last letter, R. So S, fear. The last letter R, the last line, that's your result. What result are you getting from this thinking pattern? I don't have time to exercise was the story. The fact was that I haven't exercised today. The emotion, when I think my story of I don't have time to exercise, my emotion that I'm feeling is defeated. When I feel defeated, my action is not taking action and just believing my story because it's convenient to use it as a crutch. And the last line, R, S, fear, R, the last line you're going to write is what's your current result? When you believe this story, if I don't have time to exercise, what result are you getting? Nothing. You are staying overweight. You are staying non-muscled up. You are believing a story that's making you miserable. Now, I want to ask you, do you want to keep this story? If it's making you happy, by all means, please keep it. But I would say for most of us men, this story does not make us fucking happy. I don't like believing that my days of being fit, of being vigorous, of having action in the bedroom with my wife, feeling good about my body when I look in the mirror naked. I don't like the idea that all of that's in my past and that I don't have the power on my own to change it. I don't like that outcome. So I am choosing to challenge this story. Now here's where the work comes in. Now that we've identified what the current story is, what can we move to? Let's move to a story where we get a different result. How about that? Where I don't have time to exercise changes into something else. All right? Because the stories that we think over and over and over in our heads that are on repeat, they're on a loop, like a child running around with scissors, can be dangerous if we don't specifically tell our brain which stories that we want on repeat in our head in order to get the results we want in our lives. And I've had plenty of stories where my brain should not have been running around with those scissors because I've definitely gotten hurt by them. And it's so funny because we're hurting ourselves. We are choosing to believe these stories about what we're good at, what we're bad at, when so many times it's literally just us and our brains looking for proof in our past of where we failed in order to inform that it's always going to be that way in our lives right now and in the future. What a horrible way to go through life, to stay stuck constantly. But with this story modeling, SFEAR, S-F-E-A-R, we're going to move forward. So with this one, and I know this one well because I've had to work through it on my own. That's why I'm using it as an example. I don't have time to exercise. Doesn't have to remain that way. Now, what I like to do is I like to go back through the model backwards sometimes, the story thought model, because I know what result, the R, that for SFEAR, the R, remember the result we just got was that we're staying the same. Nothing is happening. We're staying overweight. We haven't exercised today. That is the actual result. We haven't exercised today because we're believing the story of I don't have time to exercise, which gives us an excuse to not exercise today, but the day's not over. So if we want to, let's change the result. Let's play pretend. If we change the result, what would that mean? For me in this example, that would mean I have exercised today. I exercised today. That's my result. That's the result that I'm choosing. I exercised today. Okay, if that's the result, let's look at what emotion would be motivating for me to feel in order to take the action to get that result. So I'm jumping up 2 lines. The result is I exercise today. I'm changing that from I didn't exercise today or I won't exercise today to I am exercising or I exercised today. I love that even. Like it's already done. You did it. Okay. So I'm going to go with that one. I exercised today. So what emotion would you want to do? Would you want to feel in order to motivate you that way? Pick one. Think of what emotion would it fire you up, would get you going. For me, it might be picturing my future self and getting excited about it. Picturing myself with my bicep veins, with finally uncovering and getting to the point. I remember I was so excited the first day I saw those. The first day that I got to the point where I'd been working out enough, I'd been lifting enough, and my body fat percentage had come down far enough that I could see the veins on the top of my biceps. That was a really fun day, and it took a long time to get there, but it was fun. The emotion I would want to feel is excited. Excited. I'm going to use excited for my emotion, okay? Now, when I'm excited, let's fill in that A. So remember, it's SFEAR. The result is the last line. We're exercising today. Or we exercise today. We jumped up to the E line, which is the emotion. Okay. The emotion I'm going to feel is excited. When I'm excited, that action is super easy. I'm going to the gym. I'm excited and I'm making time to go to the gym. That is the action that I'm doing. The action might be, I'm looking at my calendar right now. I'm finding a spot where I can go to the gym, or what I can cancel in order to go to the gym, because it is the most important thing to me that I get this done today. Maybe I'm having to push it into the evening. Maybe you do have responsibilities. You need to cook dinner for the kids. You need to make sure that they get into bed on time, but you're going to exercise. So that can mean you're not a member of a gym right now. Fantastic. What I want you to do is you're going into the backyard and you're doing push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups. That's what you're doing. But there's no way that you are not exercising today. For 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, you're getting started and you're going to start building proof for yourself that your brain can believe that when you commit to yourself, you take the action and you get the fucking result. So if the result is I exercise today and we've jumped up 2 lines to the E, the emotion is excited. When you feel excited, you're motivated to take action, to do it, to look at your calendar and figure out where it's going today, and it's non-negotiable. All right, now we've got those figured out now. Now let's move up a little bit more. All right, so the fact where you're changing to I am a person that exercises. I am a person that exercises daily. Ooh, I like that one. I like that one a lot. I am a person who exercises daily. I am a person who exercises 5 days a week. Pick something in there that's solid, concrete, and feels like a statement, a personal anthem. That's your fact. It's solid. It's specific. It is not flavored with anything else except the fact. I am blank. And you're going to fulfill it. Now, what kind of story do we want to change from I don't have time to exercise? We've filled out the results that we are going to exercise today. We've gone up to the A, which was the line above it, to the action. You are looking at your calendar. You're figuring out exactly when you're doing it, and you're doing it. You're taking the action. You're moving up one more letter to the E. The emotion that we had for that was excited, which motivated the other 2 going down the line. And then you've got the fact that we just put in there that I am a person who exercises daily. Oh, that feels real good. Still feels good. And then your story. What's your story? If I don't have time to exercise becomes I always make time to exercise. Feels a lot different and more empowering than I don't have time to exercise, huh? I always make time to exercise. Way better story. Think about the impact that you would have if your brain started thinking, I always make time to exercise, rather than I don't have time to exercise. or different flavors if I don't have time to exercise, I'm never going to have the body that I want. I'm never going to be able to figure out why my metabolism is slowed down. I'm never going to be able to like looking at myself naked in the mirror again. A lot different, right? And you have the power at any time to pull one of these stories out of your brain. When you catch your brain running around with scissors, catch them, slow them down, maybe offer them a lollipop, distract them from it, take the scissors out of their hand so they stop hurting you. Because I don't have time to exercise hurts you. It hurts you physically, and it hurts you mentally. That you're not a person who's in control of your own destiny and in control of your own body. And so if you make the time to find these stories, pluck them out, and look at them. Write it down on a piece of paper. SFEAR. SFEAR. Story, fact, emotion, action, result. Plug it in. It's okay if you jump around as they become evident to you. Sometimes I know what the story is and I know the result that I'm getting, the last line, the R, and I have to jump up and then refill the other two and think about it for a little while. Sometimes the story itself is hard to pin down. I just feel blah about this. What is the story that's playing in my brain that's making me feel this way? And then when you just become curious about it, it becomes easier to catch and to snatch out of there, pin it down on a piece of paper, model it, figure out what that story is, and really separate fact from fiction, story from facts. Figure out what emotions are coming up for you when you think that story and believe it, what actions that you're taking because you believe that story, or non-actions in some cases, and what's the result you're getting right now because you believe that story. You still believe that story from when you were in 5th grade and you forgot the line on stage, and now you're bad at presentations. And every time that your boss asks you to give a presentation, or there's a presentation on the line that could advance your career or help you get that promotion that you want, you get locked up and you do a bad job, or you procrastinate and you don't do it because you believe this story that you are bad at public speaking. That's just one example. How many of those are we all carrying around? The answer is so many. And I'm still discovering ones that I have. Just because you start using this a couple of times, or if you're a coach like me and have used it a lot, doesn't mean that you ever get to some point where you don't have any stories that don't hurt you. Because we're human and we're going through lives, bumping up against things, trying things out, failing horribly and falling on our face, and then believing that it will always be that way in this specific instance. And then I need to take a step back and I need to untangle it. It's a constant process. But this tool is so helpful. And that's why I wanted to give it to you today. Hopefully giving it to you in this context, whether you're watching this on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, or whether you are listening to this on a podcast, or whether you're reading the transcript on the website, this is something that will really help you. Again, that acronym is SFEAR. Write it on a piece of paper. You can use this tool whenever you want. Sometimes it'll go really fast. Sometimes it'll take a little longer for you to pin down exactly what the frick is the story. What is the story that's going in my head that's making me feel this emotion? Sometimes you'll just know that you're feeling an emotion that you don't like. And you'll be like, why am I feeling this way? Sometimes it's super obvious. Sometimes it's not. And this model can really help you separate fact from fiction. SFEAR, story, fact, emotion, action, result. And this can really help you move from current state story and what's not giving you the benefits and the results that you want in your life and helping you move forward, and then help you map it, use it now that you can see it, help you create the story that you want to be true, that you want to think. Because if we get to make up any story that we want, as far as what our life is, why not make up stories that help you advance, that help you get the body that you want, that help you get the promotion, that help you be able to find the ideal partner that you want in your life? Instead of staying in the same result that you're getting right now. If you don't like your current result, you can change it. Sometimes just through thinking a different story over and over again that inspires you to take action, even in small steps, that leads to a different result that over time, your brain will start to believe because it sees evidence, it sees positive change. And all of a sudden, that old story of I don't have time to exercise, I'm no good at dating, I can't leave my job, I'll never get that promotion, they just disappear. Because you have a new story that replaces it that is much more empowering and helps you get results much faster. All right, my friends, this is what I wanted to give you this week. It seems so simple, and it is. Like Einstein says, the stories that you have in your brain, the more you can make them as simple as possible. An explanation that you make as simple as possible, but no simpler, is going to give you the best results. And I'm hacking that up. That he said it much more eloquently, of course. But if you can make something as simple as possible and no simpler, like this, using an acronym, using SFEAR in order to move through an old story and lead to a new one, it can be so powerful. So your job this week is I just want you to identify one story, something that you think is true that is holding you back from getting something that you want. I want you to notice this week which stories play in your head, which ones are getting free airtime that you did not give permission to be there. Sometimes they might be stories that someone else put in your brain, a parent or a loved one, through the best of intentions, but that aren't necessarily true about you and what you're capable of. If the stories are bringing you joy, keep them. But if they're holding you back from evolving into a better version of yourself, why the fuck are you choosing to continue to believe that story? That's ridiculous. Stop it. Use this model. Create some new stories for yourself. All right. So try story modeling out this week. Remember, SFEAR, SFEAR. I can't wait for you to start getting different results that help you get what you want in your life. Talk to you soon, my friends. If you are a man interested in learning more about testosterone optimization and other cutting-edge wellness therapies coupled with high-performance coaching, you have to check out olympusmen.com. There you will find out more about how to work with us, as well as a free guide that will answer everything you always wanted to know about testosterone therapy and if it might be right for you. Head to olympusmen.com right now to learn more.
Thanks for listening to Storied Coaching with Aaron J. Jacobs. If you want more information or resources from the podcast, visit us at storiedcoaching.com.